Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk. Back again with you guys for another show. Nothing's really happened, to be honest. We just thought we'd spontaneously do a show this evening. I'm very happy to be joined today by Graham White, a broadcaster, journalist, commentator, and the voice of Goodison Park, literally. Although it's been a little bit quieter of recent, over a year now, and we'll get into that a little bit. But Graham, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, no problems at all. I'm looking forward to this. Arsenal are not a bad team, but Everton never have any luck against you. So it's going to be good to talk, but I think we've probably got other things to talk about as well.
Yeah, we do. We should say, obviously, that when we scheduled this chat, which was going to be right now, this isn't a spontaneous show, believe it or not. This was completely pre-scheduled. And we're going to talk about the Everton game, of course, on Friday. We will get on to that. But I actually think it's a little bit of a stroke of luck, Graham, to have you on the show at this time, because obviously, on the Arsenal side of things, it's very, very singular based, a lot on here. A very kind of an echo chamber at times where it's very Arsenal-centric. And getting the perspective of things from the outside is obviously really important. Just initially, before we go into kind of the breaking news of the fact that this is looks like it's done and it's finished, it's over, what was your reaction as an Everton fan from outside of the Big Six, as it's coined, to seeing this news drop?
I was disappointed, very disappointed, because it's like anything. It came from nowhere, didn't it? I mean, you're sitting there watching your football on a Sunday, and then suddenly there's a breaking news story, and you look at it and you think, "Hello, what's been going on here?" And now I'm an Evertonian, and I'm not going to get away from that. But I'm also a football fan. I'll sit and watch football, regardless of what league, what competition. You know, if there's football on TV, or I can go and watch a live game, whether it's a local team, a pub team, whatever, kids team. I just enjoy watching football. And as a football fan, I am really disappointed with the events of the last couple of days, because it just kind of slaps the rest of football across the face. And I know Arsenal are heavily involved. And it's been interesting hearing Arsenal fans, Chelsea fans, Man City fans, Man United fans, Liverpool fans, their reaction to the news that broke over the weekend. And yeah, it's a massive news story. I think there's lots of twists and turns to come, but as a football fan, very disappointed. As an Everton fan, disappointed that we're not classed as one of the Big Six.
Alongside us, you're the longest-serving top first division side, I think. So
yeah, I mean, we've got a great history, and look, you know, we haven't won the trophies like Arsenal have done over the last 20 years. In fact, the last time we won a trophy was back in 1995, 26 years ago. So, you know, we haven't done what we should have done in, you know, the last 26 yeat we've got a great fan base. We're going to be moving to a brand new stadium in 3 years' time, like you guys with the Emirates. You know, we've got at the moment Goodison Park, and, you know, it's probably like Highbury was. You know, on its day, on a night game under floodlights, the crowd on top of the opposition, there's no better feeling. So, you know, we're going to be going to a new stadium, 55,000 seater. Can't wait for that. Really looking forward to that. However, yeah, at the moment, just feel a bit of a sour taste in my mouth as a football fan with what's gone on. But then you hear the news tonight that Man City and Chelsea are pulling out, or potentially pulling out. You know, that's the rumour going round. Will the other clubs follow? It'll be interesting to see. But yeah, at the moment, I'm a little bit concerned.
There's a couple of things also that's breaking. I don't know if you've now just seen, but Ed Woodward of Manchester United is resigning as the club's executive vice chairman. Andrea Agnelli is resigning as Juventus's chairman as well. Huge, obviously, personalities in this. It's a ridiculous story to see how quickly it kind of rose to prominence overnight. 2 days ago, less than 48 hours ago, it was, in fact, that it was kind of all came to light. And then now we've got a situation where it's now just crumbled before our eyes, seemingly, and everyone's pulled out. And it's been, what's great about it, obviously, besides the fact that these now they look incredibly embarrassing for these owners of the clubs, that it's football kind of, and the fandom of football and the sport of football has come together. Not just fans of course, the clubs that were not part of the Super League or the proposed Super League, but the fans also of Arsenal, and we've seen it from Chelsea tonight outside the stadium. Leeds, we saw the other night as well. I mean, we're writing for a site called 101 Great Goals, and our social guys were at Ellen Road last night interviewing a load of Leeds fans that were outside the ground and speaking to them, and it was incredible hearing their thoughts. But Liverpool, of course, hanging banners outside the Stadium, United, City, and of course Spurs too, which even as an Arsenal fan, like, it's great to see everyone, whether it's Spurs or whoever, all coming together to block this. So from an Everton perspective, I'm interested to get your thoughts now on, because we've seen these clubs try to break away. Even though we use the term clubs, I prefer to kind of use, we've seen the owners of these clubs try to break away from the usual system. As an outside of that kind of perspective, would you want to see retrospective punishments given to these clubs for this to happen?
I think punishment, big word, isn't it? If they go and they, they say they're going, then yes, they've got to be punished. If they do the right thing, and the right thing is saying now, do you know what, we've made a mistake here, we've not realised what we've done, apologise. I don't think there's any action you can take, because I think they already look silly, don't they? So, I think that itself is punishment enough, because the football family, and you're right in what you're saying, the football family has come together to say, no, this is not right. We don't want this. I was talking to a good friend of mine who's a Tranmere Rovers fan. Tranmere Rovers in League Two. They were relegated last season when football stopped a little bit unfairly. They were kind of saying to me, look at this. We are in League Two. We survive on a gate of 8,000 or 9,000 a week. We've not had football fans. Our business is done with our function suites. If suddenly these teams pull away, what happens to the football pyramid? What happens to us? The money then won't be generated in the Premier League. The money then won't be in the EFL. That will kind of, feed down to these clubs. And you kind of just, fear for football. So going back to the question, do we punish the sides? No, I don't think so. If they do the right thing, and I mean the right thing is over the next kind of day or so, kind of say, look, we've got this wrong. And with that breaking news that you've just kind of told me, I mean, I was looking at a couple of websites half an hour ago. That kind of wasn't on there. So a bit of a shock that, the big wigs are suddenly realising we've got this wrong. And, they've fallen on the swords. And I think that's punishment enough. I mean, I was shocked yesterday when I kind of saw the Man United manager and the Liverpool manager over the last couple of days, where they've been interviewed, and they basically don't know anything about it. Now, if you're in a business, bosses make decisions, but that normally kind of goes down to others. And, if the football managers haven't been, involved, then there's issues there for me. And there was another little issue that I was thinking about earlier on. Contracts of players. Players' contracts say they play in the Champions League, Premier League, FA Cup. Does it say anything about a new competition? I don't know how football contracts work. If there's a grey area like most people's contracts, any other business that you've got to do, would players be looking to renegotiate, because suddenly they would be thinking, hang on, there's a bit more money on the table here. So there's so many things and factors that is wrong about the Super League. If clubs pull out and do the right thing, then forget punishment. Look, they've learned a valuable lesson that they can't go against the football family. If they continue, I think football has already said the potential outcomes that can be enforced on them. UEFA, FIFA are looking at it, and I'm sure football clubs, the likes of Arsenal, Tottenham, Liverpool, and Manchester United, are probably checking the small print to see, what have they signed up for? Can they get out? And I think the exercise at the minute, if Man City and Chelsea are pulling out, it's kind of damage limitation, isn't it? That's the big thing, damage limitation.
Yeah, it does seem that way. And it's what for me is so striking is, of course, even today, this morning, I remember getting the news in to write about this on the site, that the likes of Florentino Perez have done these interviews. Ivan Gazidis, of course, Arsenal fans are very familiar with, who's now at AC Milan, was coming out saying how good this is going to be, really doubling down on the news about the Super League and saying all this. For it to crumble just hours later, it must be so damaging. And as you say, now it's damage control. I mean, Woodward resigning, Agnelli resigning, seeing all of these big, high-profile characters in these clubs move on. And to be fair to Manchester United fans, we've known how long a lot of their fan base have wanted to see the back of Woodward, Ed Woodward. So they could be looking at this now.
It's a result.
Yeah, exactly. As like a massive positive in the grand scheme of things. I was going to dip into the chat box for all the people that are watching live. Thank you ever so much, everyone that is tuning in to give your thoughts. Regan Watson, thank you ever so much for joining up as a new member. and seeing all of you guys talking about the fact that people were ready to jump ship. Some people were saying they were going to move over to Everton, and someone was sort of making a Newcastle shirt. Marquee GTI says, if Arsenal pull out, what are the chances we can get and persuade our owners, of course, Stan and Josh Kroenke, to move out? Do you think, seeing obviously now that the likes of Ed Woodward and Agnelli are moving on, do you think this is going to be basically a domino effect? You talked there about kind of a damage control situation, but do you think we can now expect to see more executives of these clubs that have orchestrated these ideals to save face and leave?
Big question, isn't it? It depends how stubborn you are. I mean, some people are quite stubborn and won't move. We've seen that in many different walks of life. It really depends on the individual. If they suddenly see the kind of, well, if they're picking up the papers, putting their phones on, reading, seeing what's on TV, they will know they are not like people at the moment. I think even Boris, the Prime Minister, is probably higher on the pecking order than these guys of likability at the moment. I mean, people will be looking at them saying, why have you done it? Now, I'm an outsider looking in. You guys are Arsenal fans, and I'm sure you're all saying, why has our club kind of jumped on this ship? Why? Why now? So do executives fall on the sword? Again, down to the individual. If you're stubborn, you wait till you're pushed, you don't jump. Then again, I think it's executives, but it's the backing of owners. If you look at Man United, they're run by the Glazers. Ed Woodward, he's just the head of the organisation. So is he the guy that's had to take the sword for the team to take the heat off the owners? Liverpool are run by FSG. John Henry's the owner there. Does their chief executive, who's only just taken post in the last 6 months, does he fall on his sword because of this? Or has the decision come from higher up the food chain? It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. It's not over yet. Yes, if two teams now pull out, I think it will be a domino effect. I think, others will follow because, if you've got two teams, it's suddenly not a Super League. It's just a gathering.
Yeah.
It's like kind of saying, like, look, lads, it's Tuesday night. Anyone fancy a game of football down at the local goals five-a-side centre? We'll have a mini tournament, half an hour each way, and the winner buys the first. The loser buys the first round. Whatever. It's a difficult one. Do I think people will fall on the swords? Potentially, yes, but then again, maybe not. But I just think with two teams now talking that they're pulling out, I think the others will. I think it's dead in the water. As soon as a team says that's it, and then suddenly executives start kind of resigning, that would suggest that they're on a bit of a sticky wicket.
It's a great analogy you used there, and I laugh because I've had that moment of trying to get your seven-a-side team together. All of a sudden, your goalkeeper's pulled out, your right back's pulled out, and you're like, "Oh, lads, we're going to have to cancel this." It is that exact same thing, and it's going to make people look at very, very silly. Now, this Jeffrey O'Hara in the chat box brings up a really important point, which I wanted to discuss as well. He says UEFA are corrupt, FIFA are corrupt. Why do people celebrate their continuation of power over us? And a lot of people talked about the fact that whilst they're the lesser of two evils in this sense, they are still, as some people would describe, evil, allegedly. And this point about they're now going to effectively, it's given them, because of this crumbling, arguably even more power and control, and maybe even a worse situation than it was prior to this coming up. Not necessarily a worse situation than it was going to be if the Super League was going to come into existence, but maybe a worse situation than it was prior to its kind of organisation. So how do you feel about the side of things where it goes, it is obviously the bad side, you think of good and evil, but it's bad side against bad side in this example?
Well, let's put it on its head. Let's turn it round and say maybe FIFA and UEFA will now look and see what football has done as a family to kind of stop the Super League. So they must have one eye on what's being said, what's being done, how football's pulled together. So, maybe as fans, if we need to make changes, maybe our voices will be heard, and we can take on the establishment. Yeah, you're right. I mean, people are not happy with UEFA, not happy with FIFA. Maybe they may have to come to the table now and make changes and make football better for all of us on the back of this. So maybe there is a little bit of good that comes out of it. We can all sit here and kind of say, oh, UEFA have done this to us, FIFA have done that, they've spoilt this, they need to improve that. Maybe this is, something that we now as fans will see change within those organisations. Only time will tell, but they will be also very wary of what has gone on and how the reaction to this Super League from football fans, ex-players. So I'm sure they'll be looking and thinking, we don't want to do something where we're going to get this reaction. So, hopefully, fingers crossed, this is going to be a good thing because we'll see change inside those organisations. And I agree, they need to be changed. They're set in the ways. They need to kind of come round to the modern way of thinking. And hopefully we can see that change. As football fans, we need to see it.
Patrick Bamford raised a really good point, I thought, last night after the game against Liverpool, and he said that we've only kind of seen this absolute outpouring and togetherness and fight against something as vocally as this, because obviously it's hurting the pockets of a lot of people. And he raised the point and said that why has there not been this same outrage for the fight against racism in the sport and globally as well? Do you think that maybe looking at it in a more positive way, this could be a kind of a stepping off point where fan pressure, where the acceptance that the fans are important and the viewpoint of the fans is so important, and of course of the other clubs as well, that more can be done to make football, I dare to say the words, but make football a better place, if you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, like I've just said with regards to UEFA and FIFA, fan power will bring this Super League down. Simple fact. So fan power can do lots of great things. And this is something that we should all be taking away now, and we can tackle racism. We can tackle problems together as football fans. And I use that word football family. On a Saturday afternoon, I can't stand Arsenal when we play Arsenal, and Arsenal can't stand
We've got
Everton.
a lot of people. We can't sometimes.
I have seen the footage.
Yeah.
But, on a Saturday, you kind of, you play a game of football, you're competing against each other, and you want your side to win. However, the football family can pull together and make things better. And maybe this is now the time, the football family, we all as fans, we get together and we tackle the issues that are within the game. And we do that side by side, red, blue, white, green, purple coloured, whatever football team you support, you can stand side by side with the football family and we can tackle the problems that are in the game. And there are several, and we all know it. We see it each and every Premier League game, Championship game, Division 1 game, League 2 game, where the players take the knee. It's out there. We can tackle it. We can beat it. But we've got to do it together. Together is the point. And, forget Arsenal, forget Everton. We're football fans. We are football fans, and we can make changes, and we can do it together. And hopefully now we've seen that we can. Let's tackle a few more big issues and big problems together.
Now, of course, Graham, the reason why you are here originally was, of course, as the voice of Goodison Park, to chat about Arsenal's game against Everton on Friday. Now, if you are listening, and of course you want your fair share of Super League content, we've done a lot, and there is going to continually be a lot this week. So don't you worry, there's going to be plenty of content. I'm also going to be joining the guys at All for United at 9 p.m, so in 35 minutes' time. So for even more chat about that, so make sure you tune in. But Graham, for the last 5 minutes, I do want to obviously touch upon Friday. It takes on a different kind of earnest, I suppose, and focus, because for me, with the way things were going, I'd kind of lost faith in the rest of the season. Part of me was thinking, well, what's the point? It doesn't matter where Arsenal finish because the Super League's going to happen. Now things are very different. Arsenal, of course, dropped points against Fulham, and had we have beaten Fulham and then won against yourselves on Friday, we would have gone above you for the first time in a hell of a long time. That's now not possible points-wise right now. What I'm interested, though, is your thoughts on how Ancelotti's changed Everton, because Arteta has obviously come in at a very similar time to when Ancelotti, I think in fact, it was exactly the same time as Ancelotti came in. What have you made of the work that he has done and how the club has changed over the last, 15 months or so?
Ancelotti, what a manager. With no disrespect to Mikel Arteta, former Everton player, of course, left us to go to yourselves. Great servant for us, and every time he comes back to Goodison Park, he's always going to get that reception. At the time, people were saying Ancelotti should go to Arsenal. I recall, and he'd never go to Everton. You know, he was in the mix. There were two big jobs up for grabs. Everton were very bold. They went out, they sold the vision, and it's all about selling the vision. Carlo Ancelotti's come to Everton and he's turned things around. It's unbelievable what he's done. He's put a belief in the players. The belief to go out and play your football, express yourselves, enjoy your football. We've seen that in lots of games so far this season. We've seen a few old Everton performances as well, but we've seen some great football. He's also brought some new players. James Rodriguez. In a million years, would James Rodriguez joined Everton, and no disrespect to Marco Silva, previous manager, or Sam Allardyce before that, James Rodriguez was not coming to Everton only for Carlo Ancelotti. Ancelotti's bringing in a better quality player. Now, obviously, when Ancelotti came, December, we then obviously stopped in March for COVID. We had the lockdown. We didn't start football again until June. The season finished in July. We had a 6-week window to bring players in. Everton brought in Alan, Decore from Watford, and Rodriguez.
Ben Godfrey. Yeah.
And Ben Godfrey, of course, who's my player of the season. What a player, what a boy. I'd like to talk about him in a minute. But he brought in players. Now, Godfrey obviously played one season in the Premier League with Norwich and they got relegated and got thumped every week. But he brought in quality. He looked to bolster the midfield. The start of the season that we had proved, some good players were brought into the football club. A few injuries and the squad doesn't have the depth at the moment to be challenging every week. So there's still some work to be done. But he's brought in a quality player. He's also brought in a togetherness. I see that on a match day. You sometimes see kind of players and you think, they're just here for the cash. They're not part of that setup. And I look at the togetherness. Now, I'm lucky enough to be inside Goodison Park each and every match day. So I get to see this firsthand and, you kind of hear. And it's a bit eerie when you're in a stadium and there's no one else in there bar a couple of stewards and the press. And you kind of hear you hear the passion, the players talking to each other, encouraging each other. Now, normally on a match day when there's 40, 50, 60,000 in the stadium, you don't hear that unless your team are behind and it's suddenly this eerie silence. So I'm seeing that, and I'm seeing a great team spirit, and I'm seeing that he wants to build on that team spirit. The experience that he brings to the football club is second to none. The likes of Dominic Calvert-Lewin, let me just take that for an example. Calvert-Lewin got a run under Duncan Ferguson when Ferguson was the interim manager. Calvert-Lewin hasn't looked back since Ancelotti has come. Now, this is a kid who came to Everton for £1 million from Sheffield United. A lot of Everton fans were questioning Calvert-Lewin. Would he make it? He was played in several different positions. Ancelotti stuck him up front, gave him the number 9 shirt and said, go on, son, go and do it. And he's been doing it. And now he's part of the England squad. He's Harry Kane's backup. Harry Kane's just got injured. Calvert-Lewin's going to be the leading line for England going forward. So he's brought players on. Yes, there are players that he will move on in the summer. And a lot of Evertonians could probably give you a list of players. But he will bring and attract quality. And I think that's the big factor with him, his experience. And he will bring quality players to the football club that will benefit Everton. And Everton have played, away from home, some pretty good football. We've never had such a great away record. We could do with it continuing at the Emirates. I would like it to continue. It's our best chance. And what I would say is we don't fear any team. And that's not being big-headed or we go into games. Whereas before, an Everton side would have gone to the Emirates and we would have been happy if we got a draw there. I remember a 2-2 draw a few years ago with David Moyes being in charge. If we go down there, you're pleased. Oh, we've come away. We got a result. We go to the Tottenham Stadium. We didn't get results down at White Hart Lane as it was at the Tottenham Stadium. We've gone down there and won for the first time in a long time this season. We went to Old Trafford. We were 3-1 down. We came back 3-3. We went to Anfield. Maybe the time was right to play Liverpool at the time. But we went there, the psychological factor of going to these grounds, we won. So there's a belief there. The football's getting better. He's chopped and changed with his sides, with injuries and whatnot. But He's got a good base for an 11. There's a good 11 there, but he needs that strength in depth. And with this transfer window, and again, depends what the owner gives him to go and spend, but I'm sure he's done his homework and his research on who he can get in and who he can bring. And, I'm looking forward to the future. I really am. I mean, you take each game as it comes, and Friday night's a massive game. It's going to be a tough game because, Arsenal need the points. No disrespect. You've not had a great season in Arsenal standards.
You're generous.
As I say, Mikel Arteta, he's a blue, really. You've not had a great season. Look, that happens, doesn't it? Next season's a new season, but you need to be winning games between now and the end of the season. I don't want it to start on Friday. I want Everton to go down there and get a result. I believe we can, but it all depends, kind of Friday night, what happens, what reaction Carlo Ancelotti gets, because we've had a couple of draws recently. I mean, we drew with Spurs. We were the better side, but 2 terrible defensive errors, and we all love Harry Kane, don't we? It's all right. Yeah. In an England shirt. But Harry Kane, you cannot give Harry Kane 2 opportunities inside the 18-yard box because he will punish you. And he did. He'd not had a sniff all game. And we gifted him 2 goals. We should have won the game. So we go into the game. We need to get 3 points. We need to get back to winning ways. And, I see Friday night being, a good opportunity to do so because you guys will want to play football, and we want to play football. And I don't mind that now. Sometimes I used to be a little bit fearful of going to the Emirates because you guys can play over the years some very attractive football and, very jealous. It's a game I'm looking forward to. A game I hope we can go down and get a victory. I believe we can. Sorry, guys. I'm going to put my hand on my heart, put my Everton hat on. Because away from home, we've been a different side. Probably saying that, we'll probably be totally rubbish away from home. And you'll say, what was he saying? And that would be...
Commentator's curse.
Yeah, that would be the Everton way. And it really is funny because, Everton over this season have been up there. And when you think, right, we're just going to take that next step, we have a little wobble. And then we have a couple of games where we wobble. And then we come back again and you think, oh, life's great. Then we have a little wobble. And then we come back again. So it's that consistency that we need. But again, that's kind of with the squad, not strength in depth. We need a few more players in there. But let's get a good run until now and the end of the season. And then I'm sure players will come and go. And I'm sure the quality will be coming in the summer. And that excites me.
I'm going to press you because obviously we spent a lot of the time on the show talking about the massive news that's broken this evening. So if you tuned in and wondered why on earth are they talking about Arsenal Everton, this was meant to be that show, but then all the chaos happened. So please do rewind because we talked about a lot of it. But I'm going to press you for a score prediction before we wrap up. So I know you said that you think you're going to win, but what's specifically a score you're going to go for?
Do you know what? Over the years when I've done radio and I've said to guests, give us a score prediction, and they go, ooh, and you think, I'm on the spot. I'm going to say it, 2-1 Everton.
Oh, okay. So I was going to go 2-1 Arsenal. So
that's fine. Okay. We'll agree to disagree.
Yeah. Yes.
It'll probably be the worst Friday night football, and we'll see a boring 0-0 draw with little and no chances at all created.
Well, the narrative now behind it is going to be huge. So it'll be interesting to see how the build up to the game, what it means, the punditry behind it, and Chelsea obviously playing tonight as well. So crazy stuff.
Here's a quick question for you then, from an Evertonian to an Arsenal fan. Who's the pressure on Friday night, Arsenal or Everton? Who needs to win more?
Everton. Because Arsenal have got the Europa League, which they look at as a bigger priority. And this is a huge chance for Everton to finish much further up and in those European places for the first time in a long time. So I think the pressure is more so on Everton, especially if Arsenal had beaten Fulham and they had the chance to go above yourselves. I think it would have been more on us. But with Arsenal's Europa League side of things, I think the pressure is more on yourselves on Friday.
Yeah.
Which I think tells you more about the shift of both clubs, to be honest, as well.
And to be fair, both clubs are great clubs, proper football clubs with proper football fans. You've won a few more trophies over the last few years than Everton. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we can start winning trophies because, it's about going the match on a Saturday or a Sunday or a Monday or a Friday night. And hopefully that will, happen soon. And we can all get back into football stadiums and hear teams chanting and supporting and encouraging their teams because, football without fans is nothing, I'm afraid.
Yeah, you're 100%. What a way to finish the show. Really good line for that. Thank you ever so much, everyone that's tuned in today for the show. As we said earlier, we did talk about all of the chaos going on this evening a little bit earlier on. There you go. 2-1. We really appreciate you coming on, Graham. Really appreciate your time.
Anytime.
I'm sure that we'll play Everton again. Well, now we definitely will, from the looks of things. We might not. It was in danger at one point, but it looks as though that fixture will come back around again next season. So I'm sure we'll catch you again. Tell people where they can find you on social media and what you're going to be up to.
At Graham74 DJ. What am I up to? Well, I'll be at Goodison Park in a couple of weeks. I think we've got Crystal Palace is the next game. So if you're watching Sky, you may hear my dulcet tones announcing the teams and doing the Everton goal scorers, and hopefully there are several. Hopefully we can see Everton having a good run in. And then next season, you'll see me plenty of times on Sky TV talking at Everton games. And you may just see me on a little bit of radio here, there and everywhere. But I will keep you informed. And, of course, you will retweet it for me.
Obviously.
And can I just say, you're the best team in North London.
Oh, well, we appreciate that. You've won a lot of fans by saying that, mate. So is that what you said when you went on their show, though? Is it?
To be fair, no, I've never been invited. And as I say, like I just said, Arsenal are the best team in North London. And like Everton, I've got great history and a great football club. So I'll leave it there.
And fingers crossed that's going to continue long into the future now after today's news. If you've enjoyed the show, people, please make sure you drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the Gooner Talk if you're new. You can go follow us on all the socials as well. And we'll see you again very, very soon to discuss, of course, a lot of breaking news over the next 24 hours. As always, up the Arsenal.